Gandhi once said a nation's culture resides in the hearts and in the soul of its people. And though arts and culture didn't feature prominently in the presidential campaign, tonight we look at the incoming president's pledges for the arts.
To tell us more, our cultural correspondent Park Jiwon joins us live in the studio. Jiwon, hello.
Hello, guys. Well, President-elect Park has been saying that she will provide stronger support for the nation's arts and culture sector with an increase of government spending and a series of new policies. So before we start, let's first listen to what she had to say about culture.
Korean people are very creative and we are endowed with artistic talents. I believe Korea can become a cultural powerhouse of the world if we keep developing our tangible and intangible assets. The president-elect has an ambitious goal to increase government spending on culture to 2% by 2017, which is similar to the OECD average of 1.9%. Last year, spending on culture accounted for about 1.14% of the budget. So to get to 2% in 5 years, spending has to increase by 17% a year.
So, Jiwon, how realistic is this? So I understand that back in 1999, spending was also around 1%. So we're trying to get to 2% by 2017.
Right. So for the past 13 years, that ratio remained around 1%. So there are criticisms about that. But it seems like they will reach 2% by the end of her 5-year term because this year's budget already includes a 12% increase for culture and the arts. With that, the budget for culture accounts for 1.22% of the total government budget. Culture Ministry officials say they are pretty satisfied with the result because they expected an increase of just 6 or 7%. So the double-digit increase was a surprise, especially since the incoming president has said welfare and the economy are her top priorities.
Right, so which area in the culture budget will see the most growth?
Yes, so I have prepared a table. So as you can see from this table detailing the government budget for culture for this year, the funding for sports has increased the most due to the upcoming 2014 Incheon Asian Games. General support for culture and arts and tourism has increased by more than 10%.
And I understand PAC has some policy initiatives to raise the sustainability of the arts ecosystem.
Right. President-elect Park has pledged to enact what she calls a basic law on culture that guarantees a person's right to cultural activities. She has also said she will introduce a law to boost arts patronage, and the government plans to give tax deductions to those who donate to cultural institutions. And Park administration also plans to amend the artist welfare laws that were passed last year to provide artists with more concrete support. So the budget for this has increased 10 times this year. So we are seeing some bright future, I guess.
Right, bright future indeed. And this must be welcome news for the culture and arts community in the country.
Yes, for that I've talked with some experts, and let's hear what one of the experts I talked to had to say.
Lee Yong-kwan, who's been working in the performing arts for the past 25 years, says he welcomes the idea of a basic law on culture.
Culture has always been somewhat neglected compared to politics and the economy. For example, in presidential debates, we hardly see any discussions on cultural issues. A basic law on culture would guarantee everyone's right to culture, regardless of income or educational level. And I think it could serve to remind people about culture and their innate right to it.
He also adds the government should put more emphasis on the arts, literature, theater, and music, as they serve as the foundation for a thriving cultural industry.
Korea's cultural industries seem to have matured to some degree, so the government needs to focus on creating an even playing field for them by making fairer rules, lowering entrance barriers for businesses, and providing tax breaks. However, support for the fine arts, such as literature, music, theater, or dance, should be strengthened, as they are the true basis for any additional cultural products, which will lead the next Korean wave.
And before you go, Jiwon, apparently the transition team also has some subcommittees that are focusing on gender and arts and welfare. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, one of the subcommittees is about gender equality and culture, and they have 2 members. And the first is 55-year-old Mo Chal-min, who is the current president of Seoul Arts Center, a major venue for the performing arts in Seoul, will head the committee. Mo had a long career at the Culture Ministry, serving there for 30 years. The other member is 47-year-old lawmaker Kim Hyun-suk, who has long been a champion of women's rights. So it's been only 3 days that this transition team started work. So I guess we have to see what this committee does in the coming weeks.
Yeah, certainly looking forward to it. Well, Jiwon, thank you very much for your report.
You're welcome.